Hello and welcome to another Three Things video with me, John Strand. In this particular video, we're going to talk about incident response and specifically how we can work to align our teams and assemble those teams together whenever we get to an incident. These are some of the big things that people miss. And one of the first things that people tend to miss is drills. I cannot stress enough how important it is that your team goes through incident response tabletop exercises. Now, before we get too crazy with tabletop exercises and you start to hate me because tabletop exercises tend to suck, I want you to look at backdoors and breaches. Probably have another video on that in the IR series. The website is play.backdoorsandbreaches.com. Once again, that's play.backdoorsandbreaches.com. You can also get a physical copy of Backdoors and Breaches at the Spearfish General Store. We sell them. And this is a game that allows you to create an incident very, very, very quickly and work through an incident and all of the necessary components of an incident, what you would do for response, like working with your SIM, working with your firewall logs, working with, UEBA logs, all of those things. So your team starts to think through all of the different aspects that are required to work through an incident. And there's also injects and things like that in there. But these drills, it isn't about creating a really good long drill. It's about going through multiple different drills at a high rate of speed so that you encounter and work through multiple different scenarios to kind of uncover the different lacking policies, processes, and procedures within your organization. That brings us to number two. With number two, time codes. This seems like a stupid thing, but it's actually quite important. In larger organizations, whenever you start working an incident, you're going to be pulling in a number of different people from a variety of different teams. It's not always going to be the computer security team that's going to be working an incident. You may be working with the database team. You may be working with systems teams. You may be working with accounts payable, accounts receivable. You may be working with developers. It is essential that you set up time codes for people to put their time working that incident towards the hours associated with that incident itself. And this is important for a couple of different things. The first reason why it's important is because you don't want to be setting up time codes in the middle of a freaking incident. That is a really incredibly bad idea. The second reason why you want to set up these time codes is so you can track the actual hours associated with the incident. Because if you ever end up to the point where you're dealing with damages, or you're dealing with incident response and an insurance company, or you're dealing with a legal situation and you have to show that you have damages in excess of $5,000 for the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, you can actually track that back to actual damages associated with the time associated with the incident itself. This is one of those areas that organizations tend to miss, and it becomes a big problem later whenever you're working with lawyers, when you're working with insurance companies, and when you're working with interdisciplinary teams. The third thing that we want to talk about is know thy authorizations. When I'm working incidents at Black Hills Information Security with our customers, one of the things that we see is a hot potato game. If you are requiring or requesting someone to make a call to bring a server or a system or an entire network connection down, it is important that the people that make those decisions know what their authorizations are. Otherwise, what happens is that hot potato keeps getting thrown all the way up to the CIO, CTO, or the CEO. Basically, people are like, well, I don't know if I have the authorization to bring down all of our web properties. I need to kick that up the chain. I need to do this. You need to make sure that that's clearly articulated and defined as far as who is authorized to do what. And it's also important that when you're communicating this, it's reaffirmed on a regular basis that everyone up and down the chain, all the way up to the CEO or the business owner or the board of directors, knows that like the CTO or the CISO has the authority to shut down all operations if they think that it's necessary for the protection of the government. And there can be multiple different trip phases. Like if it's a small system, they can do it. If it's more than one system impacting more than one business unit, then it has to go up to the CEO. If it's shutting down the entire company, then it has to notify the board of directors. But the important thing is that it has to be documented who has the authorization to shut down what. And that is your three things for IR and assembling your team.